We're with Stef Kett from Reciprocate today, live from England. How we doing?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Very nice. I screwed up a little with the time there, but we got it together. You guys are a power trio. Everyone who listens to our show knows that we love a good power trio. So you popped up on my YouTube as a suggestion along the side, and I was like, that's something that's right up my alley. So why don't we start with you and Henry? Because I guess you've played guys have played together for 15, 16 years now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we started playing, just rehearsing, trying to form our band, Shield Your Eyes, where I think at the time me and the bass player had been looking for a drummer, and we sort of knew of Henry, but he was quite a lot younger than us. And then he came and jammed with us, and just within moments, we just knew he's the guy, you know. Yeah, and I didn't realize it's so long ago now. We've been doing so much playing together since then. It's always great.
That's fantastic. And that band was called Shield Your Eyes,
That's right.
which
Yeah.
put out a bunch of albums, six
Yeah.
albums, right?
That's right. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So you had an accident. That's why that band ended?
Yeah. I mean, that makes it sound dramatic. I chopped off the end of one of my fingers, which, it's not the worst injury, but it did mean that the band had to cancel everything for a while, and then that ended up just being a sort of natural ending for the band, because we'd done a lot at that point, and it was
Right.
it was a good time to go and do other things for a while.
Right.
Other
You
bands.
got yourself a Jerry Garcia injury there, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, so did you have to, that's fascinating. Did you have to relearn to play guitar? Was it your strumming hand or your fret hand?
It's my fretting hand. It's the middle finger. I don't know if you can see, but
Okay.
this one's a bit shorter than it should be.
So you
But
had to relearn a little bit?
yeah. Whilst I was waiting, because it was broken as well as chopped. So whilst I was waiting for it to repair, I was quite frightened that maybe I wouldn't really be able to play properly anymore. But
Right.
as it turns out, it's not really that big a deal. I think we've got five fingers because we can afford to lose some. I think that's probably why we have five fingers, right?
Right. I
Yeah.
was I was sharpening a meat cleaver many, many years ago when I worked as a cook and almost took my thumb off.
Yeah.
So
Not nice.
I get that. Oh
Wow.
boy. Anyway, so we're in 2018 now. It's the summer. You meet someone named Marion.
Well, yeah, she was a friend already. Yeah, I suppose it's probably quite a small sort of group of musicians and bands in London and yeah, we knew Marion anyway. And then I think we had our first gig booked, but we didn't have a bass player. So Marion stepped in and learnt all the tunes at very short notice and jammed it. And she's been playing with us since. It's great.
Right. It just felt right after that, huh?
Yeah, she really helped us by just sort of, jumping in, fearlessly. And
Right.
yeah, great.
Yeah, you guys you were starting to get some traction. You released an album,
Yeah.
and then that was YOL that you
Yeah,
released,
that's right.
right? And that was right after COVID started, so you canceled your tour.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
how did so you canceled your tour. Now we've heard from a lot of musicians that COVID sucked for the world, but for them it actually gave them a chance to step back, evaluate. I guess you had some of that after your first band, after the accident and
Yeah.
everything, but how did COVID play out for you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a chance to just sort of write some new material. Yeah, I tried not to be really down about it all. And obviously at the time there was the far bigger issue of, like a global health
Mm,
issue, which
right.
yeah, um yeah, it's, I think that the bigger problem for us has been Brexit. That's been the more
Oh, okay.
sort of impactful thing of the last few years on our music.
Interesting, interesting, because I guess that getting down to tour Europe is not as easy as walking through the gates these days. You gotta get visas or whatever, probably?
Yeah, I mean, like we just did a couple of tours where we're small enough that I think the people working at the borders don't care at all about bans. I think they understand that it's not. More the issue with Brexit is it's selling records into Europe now is almost well, it's prohibitively expensive now. People don't really want to order from
Oh, right,
uh,
because of the shipping and everything.
yeah, and sort of unexpected customs taxes. I don't want to just go straight in with some grim sort of,
Right, I hear you, no.
you know, but
We're realists, it's alright.
yeah, but I think all these things are probably surmountable in the end. It's just a brief bit of uh, national madness that's taken
Right.
place.
Is there going back? Can
I've
you can
no idea.
England go
Probably
back?
not
Yeah,
this. Probably not within a generation. There isn't, but
right.
maybe there is a sort of uh, there'll be an operational. Everything goes back, just not in name. Maybe I
You
don't know.
you
Actually, I
guys
should just not say anything about that because I have absolutely no idea.
don't get you in trouble. You guys should get yourselves an outpost in Ireland. You can ship things to
That's true.
Belfast and then just right into the other part of Ireland and mail it to the rest of Europe.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. Yeah,
You just need a friendly partner there across the whatever that body of water is.
yeah. The
So
Irish Sea.
the Irish thing. All right, so between your first album and your second album, do you feel can you see a progression for the band, growth with the songwriting and everything?
Yes. It did what one thing that the whole not Brexit, sorry, that the lockdown meant was we were ready to record another album anyway, and then opportunities to record got put back by about 18 months. So by the time that we did do it, we had a load more material. So we recorded a huge amount of songs, and the album was just sort of the 10 that were kind of the first to finish. There's still a few that need a bit of tidying up.
So you have another album's worth of material
Yeah,
kicking around
probably
still?
close to that. Yeah, like
I
uh,
do you find that when you have that many extra songs, did that when you come to write the next album, you're writing even new songs so some things can get
yeah,
lost in the shuffle?
yeah, definitely. Which is not a bad problem to have. That's a good problem to have, right? Too much material. That's a good
Uh,
thing.
I love when Dylan releases the unreleased stuff, and sometimes it's better than what he
Yeah,
released.
yeah, yeah, totally. There's a few artists like that, isn't there? Where it's like, wow, for some reason that just got overlooked at the time.
Right.
It must just be this chaos of sessions where, yeah, yeah, I love that.
The Now, do you how do you guys do the songwriting? Is it all collaborative? Do one of you come in with an idea, flesh it out together, or is it a complete song someone walks in with?
It's usually just starts with a fairly uh, um, loose guitar idea or a vocal idea, and then I'll try and write as little of it as possible, but enough of it to give the others something to cling to, you know. But I don't want to write overwrite things, and also I think so much of the the best material is where like there isn't like this sort of too much guitar on it. Like I think the guitar should come in and out, which means it should be written as such. I think just taking So I take in guitar ideas and then the others get put their things to it pretty quick.
Right.
But I do try to have the singing worked out early. I do try to so that isn't too much of a sort of or it isn't a bolt on at the end. I do try to have the vocals kind of at least half written
Right.
at the
Now,
beginning.
isn't this different from how it worked with Shield Your Eyes?
Yeah, I suppose Shield Rise was a little bit more me taking in uh, sort of close to complete songs. But even then, there was still, because the thing that I like most about both those bands is playing with Henry on the drums, and I the more space I give him to in the arrangement, the better the tune is. So I don't want to, uh, I want there to be big gaps of where the guitar has taken a back seat, because then that's where Henry can do his thing.
Right. Now, was Shield Your Eyes a 4-piece or a 3-piece?
That was a 3-piece as well. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a really similar setup band.
Okay.
It's the
Do you
Reciprocate.
have you ever played in anything but trios?
Uh, some duos with
Okay.
drummers.
I like to talk. I've asked people about who've have a trio now, but they've been in like a 5-piece or even something with horns, and I guess the different approach, because with a trio, a lot of it's falling on your shoulders, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I'm not like a very, very good singer, so I would love to just step back into a just all I've got to do is take and do the guitar.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be really interested in doing something where I'm not singing. It's just recent bands have just kind of naturally ended up being that I'm doing the singing as well, which I'm happy to do, but I'm not. I think that's probably the part that sort of holds us back from getting maybe a slightly wider audience. Is my voice isn't really
Right.
that great.
So do you feel like that you have to have vocals? We've talked to some bands that do instrumentals, and they've expressed that, depending on the space they're in, if they're more in a rock space, they'll tend to find it harder to get bodies in the door. If they're more in a jazz space, people accept that. But it seems like with a rock and roll band, you almost have to have vocals, huh?
Oh, I mean, I love songwriting, so yeah, for me, yeah, I do want there to be a lot of singing because I'm really trying to write songs. Uh, it would just be just great if every now and again it was someone that really really could sing, so taking the reins.
Right. I've talked to people who have vocal coaches. You ever thought to try to work that kind of thing?
Yeah, I should do that. I really really should.
Right, the guitar player for Fish, he has a vocal coach that he got from Dave Matthews.
Wow.
So I mean, it's not like
Yeah, yeah. I really should get around
the
to doing
thing to
that.
do, I guess. We always joke about Trey though that he tries to oversing now.
Oh yeah.
As he's putting into use all this stuff he's learning. Sometimes he's like, "I'm throwing it all in tonight,"
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and then within one line.
Yeah.
I really like your songwriting. I feel like you're good at the line. Speaking about the line, my thinking with songwriting is it's different than a poem, because a poem you can look at on a page. When you're hearing a song, you're only hearing the line then, and if you know the song, you might know the line after or the line before, but you don't think of the whole text. And I find that you write really good lines. Is that a conscious thing, or do you not think that much about it?
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, I do really. I think I'm sort of probably always thinking about lyrics in some way. Yeah, I love writing lyrics, and I find it's the thing you really can't force. They might just come out at any moment in your mind, and then you've got to get them down. But also, I think, um, yeah, almost like bad lyrics are the good lyrics. Like I try not to have any fear about if I think something's flippant or funny. I think it's good.
Right, right.
Like
Well, anytime you write something, you're throwing it out into the world like a child that's just going to get beat up by everybody. So,
yeah, I sort of feel like with certainly rock and roll, or in its broader sense, like rock and roll lyrics are. It's kind of like it is creative writing, but it's where like the best words are things like "hey" and "yeah" and "woo," like
right,
"woo," and
right,
so it's in that sense, it's probably it's a bit of a unique type of creative writing.
right. A good la 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 or na na na.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think probably with probably the worst thing you can do is sound like you actually think you've got something really to say, you know, something
Like you're
profound
trying
or
to be
something.
Dylan or something.
Yeah, you know, like that. Yeah, that's probably the worst route to go down. You know,
I used to say though that I took poetry in college. I have a degree in it, but I
wow.
used to say that I had a high romantic thing where I sounded like Coleridge or Emerson or something like that, you know, and it was never my authentic voice. Sometimes there was a good line or two in there, but it
Mm.
wasn't who I was, and I was trying to imitate what I thought a great poet should sound like.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, like, I don't really know anything about poetry at all. Like, you know, I don't bring a sort of breadth of knowledge to
Right.
creative writing, you know, lyric writing at all. I don't have um, yeah, I don't have a
I
knowledge, a
thought it was
wider
gonna be
knowledge.
an easy I thought it was gonna be an easy degree.
Well,
A lot of writing. All right,
wow.
so let's talk about how we translate the studio stuff. Well, all right, let's go here. Do you road test songs before they're recorded in the studio, or do you write stuff, put out an album, and then it's played live?
Yeah, it depends on. Yeah, we try and put things into the set as soon as possible. But it just might be that we haven't got tours before a recording session or something like that. So yeah, a great amount of the material does get recorded before we've really played it live.
Right.
And I think there's a freshness to that. I think both ways work for different reasons. I think you
Mm,
sometimes you capture like a really lovely freshness if you record early in a song's life,
mm.
and sometimes by playing it live, you work out all those sort of you get rid of all the ideas you thought would work but aren't working, you know,
Right.
and you
That
just end
bridge
up
is
with
totally wrong. Let's can the bridge.
yeah, yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well,
So I'm
that's
happy to do
fantastic.
either way. I think they're
That's
both.
fantastic. So, how much do you pay attention or read the crowd while you're playing?
Maybe not at all.
Fair
Maybe.
enough. That's a good thing, that's a good thing. Alright, so where does your set list change up from show to show, or do you go in and say, "I know that I have these 6 or 7 tunes I wanna play, and we may throw on these, other couple?"
It changes up quite a lot. Like I'm really happy when a band reaches the point that you've got a, enough material that you can change it up. You know, when you get to the point of having two albums, that's a lovely point to be at when you can pick and choose what to play live.
You know, do you feel like you have hits? Like songs that you have to
Well,
play that
certainly not in the
well, no, not in the
yeah, but
biblical
yeah,
sense, but in as much as if I come to see you, I'm gonna know Soul to Burn or I'm gonna know Sleeve Tugger, and I'm kind of expecting to hear that, you know?
great. Yeah, I think there's probably 6 or 7 tunes that we should play at each gig. Yeah.
Right. What song best represents you to the world, do you think, from Reciprocate?
Um. Yeah. Well, off the first album, it was probably the song "Pray Tell." I felt that really, um, that was really what we were trying to, like, the identity of the band that we were trying to create. And then from the new album, I would say there's a song called "Rodia," and the title song "Soul to Burn." Though I'm really happy with those. And also from the first album, the title song "Yeah Well." I think that's quite beautiful, and yeah, but I'm happy with the other tunes as well. But definitely some of them are sort of more, you know, curious things you come out with and are happy with, and then there's
Right.
some where you feel like it's a bit more uh, your what you're trying to say as some sort of musical statement.
Right. I like that you go from challenging to familiar to challenging
Yeah.
within a couple bars sometimes. That's a good thing. I know that it probably doesn't fit Spotify's algorithm, but
Wow.
you know, that's the yeah, we did this article. We read this article, had a story about it where Apparently people write songs because they crack the Spotify algorithm, and you have to have the chorus within 32 seconds in
Wow.
order to keep people's attention enough to get the full minute, to get the download, to get the listen.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I mean, that obviously sounds hideous,
It
but
does.
I wonder how much it always was people
Like
writing to the current format, you know?
right, like Motown songs will come
Yeah.
right out with the chorus sometimes and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the probably the finest sort of songwriting, recording group of people ever
Yeah.
in musical history,
Yep.
and they're above any sort of reproach on that. So, yeah, I think, yeah, you know.
I hear ya. So you guys are on Bandcamp, right?
Yeah.
Now are you attached to a record label, or are you guys independent and just going through Bandcamp releasing stuff?
Yeah, there's a very nice label in Britain called Gringo Records, who it must now be a couple of decades have been putting out a lot of stuff that we really like and bands that we really liked playing with and things like that. And so it was really very nice that from the first Reciprocate album they were releasing us. That's been a really really great thing. Like
Right.
they're a really good label.
Cool. Art School Live, January 2023,
Yeah.
is up there on Bandcamp. Now, do you guys record every show?
No, we don't. That was a cool event. That was, if I remember it correctly, it was one of the Manchester universities where for the students doing, I suppose, like media and music and production. That was like an event that they ran and did the sound and then did all the video and sound capture. So they just needed some bands to come and play and sort of, be part of the final shows. It was a really cool event. It was really nice to go and do that. Yeah, and it's
Um,
all up on YouTube. They did a really nice job on it.
now, when you go back, have you listened to it? Have you gone back and listened to it?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Do you find a disconnect between, if you can remember back that far, what you were thinking that night when you walked off stage to 6 months later listening to the performance?
Yeah, well, uh, yeah, nice. I remember being happy at the time, and I think a gig is a one-off thing. You play as well as you can. I remember that particular night we hadn't had any opportunity to rehearse, and I think we hadn't played for a couple of months or 6 weeks or something.
Right.
So we went in and just gave it our best. And it's always just a pleasure to play with Henry and Marion. Like I figure we should be able to just go in with no rehearsal, and it might not be sort of perfect or something, but yeah, I think each gig it is what you can't really quibble about it afterwards too much.
Right.
It but
I,
yeah,
I've
definitely.
had like some jam bands record every night, and somebody in the band uploads like every night to, there's a website called nugs.net that does a lot of jam band live streaming and
Wow.
shows, and where they put them on Bandcamp. And I'll hear from people that sometimes they'll be pissed off when they walk off stage. We blew it, we shit the bed tonight. And then they go back and listen 2 days later and they're like, wow, we really nailed it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I think over the years, I have, and I think people generally learn to ignore their sort of internal dialogue during a gig. Just yeah, a gig is just sort of little musical moments all next to each other, and you just got to move into the next one, don't you? Sort of try
Right.
and
When you guys are up there and things leave the form of the song a little bit, you start to
mm,
improvise, jam a little bit.
yeah.
What are you focusing on?
Yeah, I think just trying to find some great little musical explosion. Um, yeah, some great little sort of moment of something you couldn't repeat, and
Right.
yeah,
I think
and
that's what we're all searching for when we see a
yeah.
band live, is there are those moments. So what are you guys up to now? Are you rehearsing? You in the studio?
Well, we've just did quite a lot of gigs. We did a tour of Spain and a tour of England at the start of the year, and we did record a couple of gigs from that. So uh and they were filmed as well, like videoed. So it's sort of, there's always things to do like that. Like yesterday, I mixed the audio of that, and we're going to put it to the video that was made. So that'll be a really nice thing to put online. Things that I think represent, it says here, here, like a representative thing of what we are. Not too,
Right. Here
not
we are at
overproduced
this
or
moment.
something. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, like a way of documenting some really cool gigs that happened. I think it's really
Uh,
nice putting things on YouTube.
Now, have you ever got to tour America with either band?
No, no, I've never come over.
Okay. What is it like going to, in America when people tour, when a band tours, they hop in a van and they drive all over. Obviously, you're going to Spain. What did you fly into Spain and then rent vehicles, equipment there, or did you bring equipment with you?
Well, I took the equipment myself, and then I drove over in my van with the backline,
Okay.
and um, and then Henry and Marion flew in, so I picked them up from the airport on the morning of the first gig. So that way, I've got a little bit more time. My job's quite flexible, so I
Right.
could do
Well,
that. Whereas Henry and Marion could just go in just for the gigs and then go back. You
now,
know.
how you can drive from England to what, France, and then to Spain? Is that what you got to do?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, took the ferry over to northern France,
Neat.
and there's still the issue of you're right.
That's like to go on tour. That's like such a great story. You should have filmed the whole thing from you
Yeah,
leaving
wow,
England to go over. That's where the real
like a
documentary is.
GoPro. Yeah, yeah, wow. Yeah, there's
Oh,
still the confusion of not knowing if we're really allowed to take a full back line over to Europe or not with Brexit. It used to be you could do whatever you want with that and no dramas. But so I don't know if I really needed to, but I put the back line in the back and then sort of hid it a bit, made it look like a mountain biking holiday.
right.
And that's what I told the customs people, and it seemed okay.
Oh, you're getting popped now.
Yeah, we'll see next time. Yeah.
Well, what is the issue with taking the back line? Because they know you're going to work if you have all that equipment, or
Yeah, I think it's that with all the uh, sort of new trade arrangements or not trade arrangements, any equipment that you take back and forward, you're in the world of import export. I think, whereas
right.
once before it was before Brexit, there was no issue with that. But again, I have got a very vague and flimsy
No,
understanding of
understand.
really what all that is.
And I love that I love that you use that as a caveat because people in America think they know everything. They'd be telling me this is the way it is, and I'd be like, "Eh, I don't know about that." So looking further ahead, like May, June, what are we? Are there anything on the horizon, or any gigs you have your eye on? Festivals?
Yeah, there's been a few people writing, and it looks like we'll be able to arrange like a French tour, and then a sort of maybe a 5 or 6 date tour out towards Berlin and Czech Republic, and so that would be a great. Yeah, that's the plan. I think this year is to do a couple more tours like that. One
There
around
you go.
France, maybe another English tour. But
So
yeah,
what is
it feels good.
what is success?
Uh, um, breaking even on vinyl releases when you do them in a sort of manageable amount of time. I suppose that would be a form of success. Um, yeah, having an audience, that's great. It's lovely when, yeah, like all the recent gigs, there was really good audiences, people, and that feeling in the room before you play of
Mhm.
yes, like an excitement of that. I think that's a really quite tangible form of success when audiences just want you to come and do it.
Right, they're there for you. When
But
you
it's
get
not.
rail riders, well, when you walk on stage and there's already 10 people standing along the rails, so
Yeah, rail riders, you call them. Wow.
yeah, we call them rail riders.
Wow, I like that. Yeah.
People will
Yeah.
stand in line for like Fish and Billy Strings in America from like 10 in the morning for an 8 o'clock at night concert so they
Wow.
can be on the rail.
Wow, that's
I'm like, I'm going to spend my 12 hours drinking before the show. I don't want to.
Yeah,
So,
also, like, I'm also happy when there isn't, like, a bit an audio, a full room, or like, we're just happy to do it.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, like, yeah, in Shield Your Eyes, we played a lot of gigs every year. We were really playing a lot, and Reciprocate, now we're a bit older, and our lives are a bit fuller. It's just that much more special just to be able to play together at all. That in itself, to be able to set up our equipment and turn it up and play the material we want at the same time as each other together, that's a great pleasure.
right. Now, were you playing professionally, releasing albums at any point where I guess in 2008 the internet had kind of taken over already? It was the beginning of streaming, probably, right?
Yeah, we've never had any sort of, yeah, we've never been professional, or we've never like extracted money that could pay rent, or,
Right.
or
Well, yeah,
such like.
that's what I was gonna say. There was a time, even I guess 20 years, well, I guess now we say 30 years ago, 25 years ago, where you could actually put out a CD, maybe even only sell 100,000 copies, and then in addition to being on the road, you could make a living with it. We have a band in America called the Bobby Lees. I don't know if you've ever heard
I
of
don't,
them.
but I'll write it down.
Yeah, they're really good. Put out a bunch of albums, toured successfully. They broke up. They said that they just couldn't do it. They couldn't afford to stay on the road and release albums. They weren't making any money. And it breaks my heart to see that happening. Do you have a vision for where the industry is going over the next decade?
Yeah. Well, again, I don't have any sort of preternatural ability to sort of predict technological changes. That's probably what would be required for
Right.
musicians to uh, you know have a comfier time, I suppose. But my personal feeling is that I'm very happy having a job outside of music, so that music can just be a passion,
There you
and
go.
it's as pursuits go, as unmonetized pursuits go, it's a pretty good one. In that you'd have to be a very good, a very good sports person to have your travel paid, or your,
Right.
uh, and we get our, we get paid for performing, to do the thing we want to do. I'm very happy to not have any financial requirements of our music, because I think money brings compromise.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. What do you think about AI?
Uh, I, I, yeah, as in its potential impact on music in terms of
Yeah, well,
songwriting
I'll give you my apocalyptic vision of music in
and
5 years.
cool.
All commercials and all incidental music in TVs and movies will be written by AI. You're gonna cut the musician out of
Yeah,
making that money.
that makes sense. Yeah, if you were running like a film,
An ad agency or something, you know?
yeah, musicians are probably a pain in the ass to deal with, quite flaky, and yeah,
Right,
that
well,
makes
they'll
sense.
get like $15,000 if your song's, to license for a TV show. I have some friends in New Orleans that have songs that ended up in Treme. They got like $15,000 payout for it. you know. But I think eventually they're just going to get an AI thing and say New Orleans sounding song about X, Y, and Z, and boom, it'll spit something out for them.
Yeah, but in that sense, it's going to replace royalty-free music. Yeah, definitely, and Muzak and things like that. But those have always been sort of mechanized processes, I suppose, where the person
Right,
was just simply necessary until now. But I
right.
think uh, a lot of beautiful music is beautiful because it's quite flawed. And
Hmm.
good luck, good luck inventing new beautiful flaws. I think. I
The
think you need
mistake
people for
sometimes,
that.
right? Sometimes it's the mistake that is the beautiful thing that
Yeah,
becomes the
or the
thing
sort
of
of
beauty.
like nightmare individual that when they pick up an instrument, not they just do something glorious with it. But I don't know. Like, no, I don't feel dystopian about it. Yeah, probably you're right. The sort of royalty free music
Oh, right.
world is probably gonna
Be gone.
go that way entirely. Yeah, it probably already is happening, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah, I've yeah. Also, I think the music that I'm interested in myself, like mostly DIY sort of underground stuff, it's just simply been proven how unlucrative it is. So why would anyone sort of move in on that market?
Let's spend
It's
lots of money to figure out how to do something that's going to have no commercial potential.
yeah. I think that world is probably going to stay ours. The other thing is that people's love of music is innate, and people have always loved music in the same way that they love food and
Right.
stories and a few other things like that. And I think people need to know it comes from other people.
Mhm.
You know,
That's what we want. We want musicians. We want people in a room playing music.
yeah,
Is what we ultimately. I mean, I guess that's ultimately what I want. I don't know about my kid does. My one kid does. My older kid, nah. My younger one, yes. My younger one, um, she found Motley Crue when she was like
yeah,
12, and now
awesome,
she's into all the grunge. Like Elliott Smith's her favorite person.
yeah,
There's a club near me in DC called Atlantis that is a replica of the original 930 club. And on opening night, the Foo Fighters played 500-seat place. Friend of mine works for IMP, the promotion company, and got tickets and took my youngest daughter with her to see the Foo Fighters at a 500-person club. I was
wow,
like,
awesome.
you did more for her that one time than I've done her whole life.
Well, that's really cool.
That is
Yeah,
fantastic, fantastic. All right, I'm gonna pull this off. Thank you so much. I
well,
really love talking to you, man. This was fantastic. Hang
yeah.
out for
Thank you, Kevin. Really nice to chat.